Tell me, having the vice president visit the Middle East, how big is that for those who are living in Iraq who are dealing with the aftermath of the war and the persecution that was brought on by ISIS?
You see, the systematic persecution of the Assyrians in Iraq, the Christians in Iraq, began in 2003. And repeatedly we have heard for the last 13, 14 years that the Christians in Iraq believe that they have been let down by the U.S. policy, by the Europeans. And since the Trump administration, we have found new friendships, new friends in this administration, and this is immensely important for us because it sheds a very important light on our plight. And as you know, in 2003 we had 1.5 million Christians in Iraq. Today we have barely 200,000 left. Many hope to return, and we believe with Vice President Pence's trip that the economy will revive, or through aid that will be flown through Iraq to Iraq. And also policies will change, hopefully, after he returns and after he sees everything with his own eyes.
Now, in talking about ISIS, most Americans didn't really become aware of this organization until 2013, 2014, maybe a little bit later than that. But with the persecution going back to 2003, which I would assume coincides with the invasion of Iraq, what all has the Assyrian Christians, what all have they faced in terms of persecution? Has it been from the Iraqi government? Has it been from militant groups within Iraq? Has it been mostly ISIS? What are the sources of persecution?
Well, in the beginning, it was Al-Qaeda when it found its safe haven inside the borders of Iraq, starting 2003, and then in 2006, it became Islamic State of Iraq (ISI), and almost all the systematic attacks, the church bombings, the beheadings, the kidnapping of our clergy, raping our women, they were all done by those who ascribe to this evil Islamic radicalism. Not only there has been immense economic loss for our people in Iraq, there has been immense trauma that has been inflicted. There are about 20,000 refugees starting in 2014 alone. There are about 20,000 that live in Jordan. There are about 40,000 living in Turkey and throughout the region, and others throughout the region. And these people, I must tell you, they were among the upper middle-class citizens in Iraq. They were doctors, they were lawyers, government workers, and who have lost everything because of their ethnicity and because of their race. Things were perpetrated in the hands of Islamic extremism. For example, in Mosul, when the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria came in 2014, they marked the Christian homes with the Arabic letter N, which represents those who follow Jesus of Nazareth and were called Nazarenes because of that. And who gave them up? It was their neighbors. It was their Muslim neighbors who gave them up. And that's why there are very few families that have returned, maybe about 60 families, only 70 that have returned to Mosul because of the fear that those Muslims will give them up again.
With the Vice President's trip next month scheduled, that's going to bring a lot of attention to this issue. But aside from that, what are some of the things that the current administration has done that started to renew optimism in Iraq?
Representative Chris Smith, Congressman Chris Smith, introduced House Resolution 390 that is now in the hands of the Senate, and Senator Corker is holding it. They're not moving on it yet. So we're encouraging Senator Corker and other senators to really take the time and read this very important resolution, because not only it allows for aid to flow to Iraq, but also it demands perpetrators to be brought to justice. It is very important for us to have Vice President Pence to take time and visit with the refugees, really listen to their stories of how lives were prior to Saddam Hussein, even really prior to the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, and come back with a strong message, not only for the U.S., but also to the world.
Now, that resolution that you mentioned, what's the number of that again, and what does the resolution do?
The resolution is called the House version is 390, and as I said, it allows help to come to Iraq, economic help through giving money to the NGOs on the ground, non-governmental organizations on the ground, rather than money going through the UN. Actually, it's important to say that in October, Vice President Pence talked about money coming not through the UN, because UN is a corrupt organization. And for the last 14 years, a lot of money has been given through the UN, but has been missing. So U.S. aid is going to direct help directly to Iraq, and that's immensely important. But in addition to that, because our good friends are finding new positions in this administration, people that have been serving inside Iraq and outside this cause for the last 14 years, we're hopeful that under the President Trump's watch, we will be able to see a new era, a new renaissance for our people in Iraq.
Juliana Taimoorazy is the president and founder of the Iraqi Christian Relief Council. Juliani, what are the things that Americans can do for our Christian brothers and sisters living in Iraq who have endured this persecution?
Thank you for that important question. We have been in existence for the last 10 years, a very transparent organization. We are raising funds for food, for kerosene, space heaters today. I'm going to Iraq actually in less than a week to visit those refugee areas and to visit with the people that we have served for the last 10 years. We have been involved with rebuilding their lives, rebuilding homes, digging wells, and bringing water infrastructure back to these destroyed towns that now are liberated from ISIS. So people can visit us at victimsofisis.org, victimsofisis.org, and really open your hearts to this cause. Help bring dignity back to these dignified people that have lost everything. Victimsofisis.org. Please take a look at our work. We are in the region often, at least 2 to 3 times a year, and we help those people that have suffered. We even know many of their names, their stories, and this is how transparent we are. This is how we are involved in rebuilding their lives, one person at a time. In fact, last year we served 110,000 Christians in the region. The prior year, 150,000. So, and I'm from the region myself. I was a former refugee from Iran. I escaped Iran in 1989. So, I'm very much close to the region.
One thing that impresses me about Iraqi refugees is how ready and willing they are to go back to their country if it ever becomes safe. I mean, that really impresses me how much you love your country.
You know, I must tell you and use this example. When Hurricane Katrina or Hurricane Sandy hit the United States, the United States rallied up around those victims, and they helped rebuild their towns, and people went back knowing the potential for another natural disaster. But they went back to their communities, to their schools, to their churches, to their homes, and this is exactly what that is. We have faced persecution not just since 2003, for the last 2,000 years of us converting to Christianity through St. Thomas the Apostle. In my own case, I am the granddaughter of victims of genocide, of the Armenian, Assyrian, Greek genocide of 1914. And yet my family remained in the region until recently that we left 27, 28 years ago. And people want to go back. You know, I'll give you a real quick example. When we were in Jordan, I met this doctor who was in his late 50s, and he wept and he said, where am I going to be a doctor again if I am resettled in the West? I don't know the language, I don't know the culture, and I'm not in a position to regain my education again. I spent my entire life studying to be a doctor. I want to return to my home to be able to visit the patients again and bring healing to those people. That's a very small yet important and pronounced example of their mentality. Not all want to return, but many want to return to their community.
And some take up lives and make differences here in the United States. A guy that I know that over in East Texas coaches soccer at Nacogdoches High School there. He was a refugee from Iran, and he moved to the United States in the 1970s and established the soccer program at Nacogdoches High School, and has changed the lives of countless numbers of students throughout the years. I
understand that. There are many refugees that come here because when they come here from the Middle East, or those who love the American way of life, who do not want to alter the American way of life. We come here and we truly love the United States. I'm a proud American citizen, and we try to bring all the good that we can to this country because it's giving us safe harbor. It's our second home. Yet our hearts are pulled by our own lands. That's why I'm going to Iraq, to Baghdad, actually, for the first time. I'm going to Baghdad for the first time to bring the goodness of the American people there. I just real quick, I will always tell my people in Iraq that don't look at the American policy that has failed you in the previous administration. Know that the American people are good-hearted people. We have to separate the American policy that sometimes help people, sometimes potentially could hurt people. But what is constant is the goodness of the American people, and that is what has sustained my organization for the last 10 years, with the goodness of the American people. And that's why the people of Iraq, the Christians of Iraq, even Muslims, are helped and are kept warm and kept cool in the summer and are being fed. It is because of the American goodness that those benefits are reached by those people.
Juliana Taimoorazy on the program with us, president and founder of the Iraqi Christian Relief Council, the website victimsofisis.org. Where else can we go for more information?
You can also visit us on our Facebook page, Iraqi Christian Relief Council, and we're very active on Twitter as well. And our Twitter handle is @Iraqi Christian. Please visit our Facebook page and share it as wide as you can, as far as you can, and please get in touch with us, because we have the feel of a small organization. My cell phone number is listed on the website, and I'm here to serve, to help you serve the Lord and serve those people that have suffered immensely for their faith and ethnicity.
Juliana, we appreciate you joining us this morning.
Thank you so much, and God bless you. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
And to you as well. Juliana, you have a great day.
Thank you as well.
Juliana Taimoorazy of the Iraqi Christian Relief Council, victimsofisis.org is the web address to go through there. You think about more or less what we did to score political points to be able to say we ended a war. We just backed out and left those people defenseless, and that bothers me.
Well, we've historically gone over there and created half the problem in Iraq. I mean, when we left there a long time ago, we divided up into 3 different sections, knowing all 3 of them were going to fight.
Yeah.
So, and we, with the help of the UN, everybody else did that. But, this ISIS bunch, it's going to be a horrible thing to say. I think if you're an adult, 18, maybe even 16, which is not an adult, I know, but 16 and above, I think there's some ISIS video you should watch. We talk about it. We can't wrap our head around how barbaric these piles of human waste are as they go through a part of a village and rape children and murder and kill and behead people and do all kinds of stuff. I think people need to see that at least once a year to get a grip on what we're fighting. I know.
I don't need to see it. You just mentioning it has turned my stomach. So, but yeah, this is pure evil that we're fighting against with ISIS. I mean, this is not a different political persuasion or a different way of life. When you're fighting ISIS, you're fighting pure evil.
Oh yeah.